A couple of weeks ago, a game called Phasmophobia took the internet by storm. YouTubers could not stop talking about it and how scary it is. I have been playing the game myself, and after clocking in 5.7 hours on record, I think it's about time I share my opinions about the game with the rest of the world. My honest opinions. Phasmophobia means intense fear of ghosts. Simply mentioning ghosts in a harmless conversation can make someone lose their sleep or give them a panic attack. So is the game really scary? Well, we'll get into that. Before I start, I think I need to go over a couple of things. Number one, yes, I know the game is in early access. For the uninformed, early access means that the game is still in development, so glitches and crashes are expected. And number two, this is by no means a review. These are just my opinions on a game that I played, and I'm simply sharing with you what I liked about it, what I didn't like, and what I would like to see improved. Developed by Kinetic Games, Phasmophobia is a co-op game that can be played with up to 4 players. You can join an online game, or you can create a private game and send invite codes to your friends. The game is developed in Unity and seems to run just fine. Phasmophobia has different maps, and your objective is always the same. Go to a location and gather evidence that would help you determine what kind of ghost you are dealing with. That's it. You're not shooting at ghosts or vanquishing the demonic presence. You're simply trying to determine just what kind of entity you're dealing with, and you do that by exploring the location and gathering evidence. The gameplay looks straightforward on the surface, but is actually quite deep. You start off in a lobby and wait for your friends to join in. Once everyone is in, you select the location you want to go to. At the time of me making this video, there are 5 locations available. The difficulty of the missions depend on your character level. The higher the rank, the more difficult the missions would be. At least that's the gist I got. Once you select a mission, it will give you a brief description of what to expect. After that comes the preparation. You need to buy equipment that will help you determine what kind of ghost you're dealing with. These include flashlights, heavy flashlights, UV lights, spirit boxes that you can use to communicate with ghosts, more on that in a minute, EMF readers, cameras, and so on. Aside from equipment that will help you determine what kind of ghost you are dealing with, you can also use defensive items like a crucifix, salt, and smudge sticks to ward off the ghostly threat. No microtransactions here, and the currency you use to purchase equipment is earned by completing in-game objectives. Once you're happy with your inventory, you can start the job. You spawn in the van with the equipment you purchased, and you're off. You can carry up to 3 pieces of equipment at a time, which is why I would recommend that you play the game with at least 1 more person, unless you don't mind backtracking. Plus, it's a lot more fun.
So I think it's downstairs. You go downstairs and check.
Really? You want to split up? Have you not seen a single horror movie before in your whole life? Once you enter the haunted location, that's when you realize why Phasmophobia stands out from the crowd of ever-growing first-person horror games that are available on Steam. When you enter the location, you feel a strange sense of dread. When I was young, I used to love watching horror shows like Most Haunted, where ghost investigators would walk around with EMF detectors and thermometers to determine where a paranormal activity might take place. The game creates the same kind of experience as you and your friends do exactly that. Whether you choose to stick together or split up, you will be checking temperature drops, EMF signals, and trying to communicate with ghosts using the spirit box. Is there anyone here? Speaking of spirit box, I think it's time I talk about the unique selling point of the game. Phasmophobia uses voice recognition and makes use of your mic to encourage you to speak to the ghosts in the game.
Show us a sign. Where are you?
If you are in possession of a spirit box, you can speak into your mic to communicate with the dead. It is a nice idea that really separates itself from the rest of the competition. You will be walking around saying the dead person's name to trigger some sort of reaction or just to hear what the ghosts have to say. That is, if they react to spirit boxes. And that brings me to the stars of the game, the dark entities that haunt the locations. There are 12 different kinds of ghosts in the game and each ghost has strengths and weaknesses. For example, a wraith's feet never touch the ground, so it cannot be tracked. However, it has a toxic reaction to salt, so leaving some salt around will prevent it from attacking you. And this is where the fun is. When the level starts, you don't know what you might be dealing with in there. Playing the game at professional difficulty setting will leave you vulnerable from the start. You have a journal handy that lists everything you need to know about ghosts, their strengths and weaknesses. At the end of your journal, you have to enter all the evidence you have gathered and determine what kind of ghost you are dealing with. Each piece of evidence you gather narrows down the option available, and once you have all three, you will have one concrete answer. Once you have entered your findings, exit the location by closing the van's doors. Making the right call will net you more cash. If you want to earn extra cash in the game, then there are some side objectives available for you to tackle, and these range from exploring the location and finding some bones to triggering and witnessing some sort of paranormal activity. But you need to be careful though. The longer you stay at the location, the more it affects your sanity and upsets the ghosts haunting that location. You'll see your flashlight flicker, car alarms go off, lights in the room randomly turn off, and see apparitions of ghosts randomly appear. A lot of people don't know this, but there's a clock in the van that shows how much time you have before the ghosts start being aggressive with you. Once that timer reaches 0, you need to start planning your exit strategy or you will face their wrath. I hate you. If you die in the game, you will be transferred to the spiritual realm surrounded by a bright light. I guess that's how the developers envision the afterlife. Dying results in loss of equipment and you lose your survival bonus. The gameplay is simple but unique, and I loved it. You enter a location knowing full well that there is some sort of threat there. You just have to figure out what it is and leave before things get bad. The jump scares are also very well timed in the game, as in they are not scripted. You could be walking around and the lights will randomly switch off, photos will fall off the walls, doors will open by themselves, and you will see ghostly apparitions walking around. All of this adds tension to the gameplay as you try to figure out just what kind of ghost you might be dealing with. If it gets too much, you can hide in the closet and hope you don't die. What makes it better is when you are playing with friends. It is so much more enjoyable. You can join other gamers online, but I would recommend playing with friends. Communication is key in this game. You can talk to your teammates when they are close to you, no problem. But once they walk away and start exploring, you need to talk to them over walkie-talkies or radios, whatever you want to call them. What I really love is that when the ghost activity is at its highest, your radio will not work. Your teammates will not be able to communicate with you. It adds further to the tense gameplay that is on offer here. Unfortunately, I do have some gripes with the game, but since it's early access, I'm hoping that these issues will be rectified when the game comes out in full. There is a sprint button, but it doesn't feel like you're sprinting at all. I know the game can be played in VR, and sprinting in VR may cause motion sickness in some people, but they can certainly increase the walk speed a little bit more. The character models look ugly. I mean, seriously, look at it. Bertha over here looks scarier than the wraith that killed me in the previous game. Speaking of graphics, this game is not very demanding in the graphics department, which is a good and a bad thing. I'm running it on a Ryzen 5 1600 and a GeForce 1070, and I can play this game in 4K 60 FPS. The bad thing is, obviously Bertha and the crew, the textures don't look that impressive, and the outdoor environment, and especially the lobby where the ghost hunters hang out, look very dull. But the thing that I can't wrap my head around is, why is the player camera attached to the torso of the character models and not to the head? I mean, seriously, look at this. All you have to do is crouch and look up, and bingo, you're doing the limbo. I mean, did the developers not see this? How can they miss that out? But even after all these issues, I still enjoyed the game. Yes, it has some problems, but it is still in early access, and considering the amount of love this game is getting from the gaming community, I think the game will get better over time. I asked Infectious Gaming and the Lambbox, two Twitch streamers, what they thought about the game, and here's their response. What do you think of this game?
This one, it's pretty decent. It'd be better with more content. So far, it's always like the same sort of ghosts and the same sort of maps.
Yeah, but it's only early. It'd be like saying Dead by Daylight at the start was the same until they got 20 of each killers.
With more variation.
But yeah, more maps, but they've already got a road map out which says that they're doing more maps and what they're doing and what they're going to be adding and stuff. For me, it's really good. I'm level 80, been playing it for ages, I still get goosebumps. Still scares me. And now that you obviously know the game more and you know a bit more of the mechanics and stuff.
Yeah, you know where to.
But it still gives you the same goosebumps that I got about it when I first played it.
Is there anything you think it can be improved, like with the existing core mechanics?
Could complain about maybe sprinting outside. I've got no issue with it in the house because if I'm running away from a ghost really fast, then it just takes away the terror from it.
Yeah, I understand that.
But outside, running to the vehicle, yeah, just let me run quick so I can just be in and out.
What about you, Lampy?
I'd probably just like how fast you can move. Because you can bet your ass if I'm like in a haunted area, I will not be fucking walking at a burst pace when a ghost is after me. I'll be fucking legging it. So you can bet your ass I'll like fucking spark out the ghost and I'll fucking hide and cry in the corner.
Well, you're out because they'll have to increase the ghost speed otherwise.
Yeah,
but it'll be even more terrifying. It's a win-win.
Yeah, but the maps
run away from my fears.
The maps aren't that big that you have to leg it anyway. They aren't huge. The only bit you should be running really is just from the outside to the van. I agree with that. I like the ambience. I like the ambient sounds. I like the jump scares. I like how level 80 and it's still different. I like how some ghosts are harder to find than others, as frustrating as it is. I like how there's more to the game when you first start playing it and you start realising, like, for example, just that poltergeist putting more items in that room made it stronger, and then all of a sudden it started attacking us straight away. It's just the game's a lot deeper as well than what you actually think from when you first play it, which is really good. I thought you had the laptop booted up.
One quick question, well, two quick questions. What do you think is the unique selling point of this game, and would you recommend it?
I think the unique selling point for this is like you go in with not really anything to protect you, and you're getting more or less constantly tracked by a ghost that's trying to kill you before you find out what it is.
That's actually good, yeah.
It's basically a very scary puzzle game.
It's like, it's horror done right, like the Resident Evil 7.
Would you recommend it?
Yeah, of course.
I'd recommend it to everyone.
So here's the lowdown. I love the game and how tense it can get. I love the idea of how the sound works in the game and how it makes use of your microphone to make it an integral part of gameplay. The atmosphere is solid and the ghosts themselves are scary. What I don't like at this current moment in time are the nagging glitches and bugs that should have been ironed out before the game was put on Steam. Yes, I know it's in early access, but come on guys, there's no excuse for that. My honest opinion, this game has some brilliant ideas and a solid gameplay to match it. If you're expecting quality or a polished product, you will be disappointed. But if you're looking for a tense survival horror game to play with your friends with chilling sound effects and unscripted jump scares, this game is for you. Alright guys, that's enough from me. A big thanks to Infectious Gaming and the Lamp Box for their honest opinion. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing. Also, I love survival horror games, so if you know a decent survival horror game that you want me to share my opinions on, let me know in the comment box below and I'll check it out. Peace out.